This is just another number informing the general public about what might be the biggest pyramid scheme in history. Washington, D.C., December 28, 2009, the U.S. Senate Department announced that it will be publishing an organizational chart for the New World Order sometime in the spring of 2010. This is not the first chart of its kind. Similar diagrams have been traced back to 1941 in the World War II era and even to the beginnings of Freemasonry. During World War II, a map was discovered by Helen Summers, a map that was completed in October of 1941. An original can be found in the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. The map is a concept of the New World Order, and the original source of the map has not been determined. At the bottom of the map is an explanation of the United States policy for the New World formation. What's interesting to note is that many of the policies outlined on the map did indeed happen. For instance, one policy states that the United States will become a dominant air, military, and naval power. Another policy states that common world monetary systems will be established. This has already happened in Europe with the emergence of the euro. One last policy on the map declares that the Council of the United Nations will be restructured into a supreme military and economic council to assist in the enforcing of world peace. The new world structure will happen, with many hoping that this new structure will be beneficial for all countries and not just an elite few. These are a few examples of the various charts that demonstrate the New World hierarchy. The charts show relationships, performance expectations, and relative ranks of the world's countries, and will be used as framework for managing change as we transition towards the coming of one world government and one unit monetary system, led by a permanent rank of non-elected hierarchy oligarchists. Assistant Secretary of State Kevin Johnson told reporters, quote, "This administration was elected on the promise of greater transparency and open dialogue with the rest of the world. Organizational charts are an extremely effective way to communicate the current and coming organizational structure of the plan." On one of the highest hilltops in Elbert County, Georgia, stands a huge granite monument. Engraved in 8 different languages on the 4 giant stones that support the common capstone are 10 guides or commandments. That monument is alternatively referred to as the Georgia Guidestones or the American Stonehenge. Though relatively unknown to most people, it is an important link to the occult hierarchy that dominates the world and New World Order facts and myths alike. The origin of this strange monument is shrouded in mystery because no one knows the true identity of the man or men who commissioned its construction. All that is known for certain is that in June of 1979, a well-dressed, articulate stranger visited the office of Elbert Granite Finishing Company and announced that he wanted to build an edifice to transmit a message to mankind. He had identified himself as R.C. Christian, but it soon became apparent that this was not his real name. He said that he represented a group of men who wanted to offer direction to humanity. But almost 2 decades later, no one knows who R.C. Christian really was, or the names of those he represented. Some have speculated that L. Ron Hubbard is the true identity of R.C. Christian. A book was found written by the man who called himself R.C. Christian. Websites say that the R.C. stands for Rosicrucian, and some also think that R.C. Christian stands for Roman Catholic Christian. The Rosicrucian explanation is most common. We have no idea which one is right, if either of them are. Many websites claim that it has been discovered that the Monument Commission was erected in recognition of Thomas Paine and the occult philosophy he exposed. The Age of Reason was a book written by Thomas Paine. Its intent was to destroy the Judeo-Christian beliefs upon which our republic was founded. Indeed, the Georgia Guidestones are used for occult ceremonies and mystic celebrations to this very day. Tragically, only one religious leader in the area had the courage to speak out against the American Stonehenge, and he has recently relocated his ministry. The Guidestones contain 10 phrases in 8 languages. Russian, Hebrew, Arabic, Hindi, Chinese, Spanish, Swahili, and English. The first states, maintain humanity under 5 million in perpetual balance with nature. This is a little difficult to achieve when considering that the current world population tops 6 billion. The second states, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. The third, unite humanity with a living new language. Over 50 major countries speak English and more as a second language. The fourth, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. The fifth, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. A little contradictive to a population control policy. The sixth, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. The seventh, avoid petty laws and useless officials. The eighth, balance personal rights with social duties. The ninth, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. The 10th, be not a cancer on the earth, leave room for nature, leave room for nature. The Georgia Guidestones were erected in 1980. The hole that you see in the stone was drilled in the center stone so that the North Star could be visualized through it at any moment. This was one of several requirements stipulated by R.C. Christian for the building of the American Stonehenge, and reflects his obsession with the alignment of the stars, the sun, and the moon. Occultists often worship the alignment and movement of heavenly bodies as part of their religious ceremonies. So who is the New World Order? Many believe it is the modern face of the Illuminati myths, the Bilderberg Group. They have openly discussed world government and met on June 6th through the 8th of 2008 at the Westfields Marriott Hotel in Chantilly, Virginia. New World Order structure will change politics, economics, and culture. The New World Order structure is interpreted and evaluated in different ways by different people according to their thoughts and beliefs. But no matter how you interpret it, most people are aware of the term New World Order and have read about it in some capacity. For instance, the New World Order can be applied to an elite world government as outlined by the Illuminati or the Masons, two secret and elusive groups who believe society is kept in control through fear and ignorance. These are powers, both world leaders and countries, which have exploited the world and taken advantage of this time of restructuring by seeing things only from their own perspective. No matter what view of the New World Order you take, the reality is the world is in the process of restructuring politically, socially, economically, and culturally. Many times it seems as though people don't have a voice in what government and world leaders are deciding for the future. Americans and other people around the world need to increase their awareness of what governments are doing and what they have planned for the future. Whether it is globalization, cultural integration, or social reform, people need to step up and voice their opinions and concerns. The New World Order structure is one place for people to start defining the changes that need to take place in the world and the changes that are already taking place. Does the New World Order structure mean governments will be selling out their power to the highest bidder? Norway overturned their democratic socialist government in order to privatize more of their state assets. Although this may not seem like a bad thing, what it really means is less representative government every time a private or public partnership is set up. And what happens to people's assets once they get divided up between the corporations? If the government sells out, we will still be paying our taxes to keep whatever government is left afloat. And those taxes may well go to foreign aid as bribes to developing nations' governments to comply with the new structure of the world. This would make the United States a feudalist state, which is perhaps the goal of the American government. But aren't we already living in a feudalist country? A feudal system is described as a system where the serfs were allowed to live on the property of the ruler so they could be protected by him. In return, they gave the ruler a monthly payment and a portion of their crops. Sound familiar? One thing is for sure, whoever R.C. Christian was, his monument has created a new guide for human life. Now we must ask ourselves, do we want these guidelines?